around you and see when they stop talking, and just have the pause. And
Good morning.
And see if they.
We have about 30 seconds here before we're going to start the show. Okay, welcome. Good morning. Thank you all for coming. I want to call this meeting of the HOA2 Board to order for the May 31, 2023 board meeting. Our first order of business is our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll stand with us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. The first item of business on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the April 26, 2023 board meeting. Do I have anyone on the board who would like to make that motion?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Campbell seconded. I have a motion, 2 seconds. Any conversation from the board? Any conversation from our homeowners? Hearing none, we'll move to approve those board minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Okay, first thing we'll do after that is Walter. Walter, will you give us some comments from the staff, please?
All right, thank you, Dan. Yeah, I have a few comments today. So, good morning to everybody out there, and thank you for coming this morning. And also, since we're recording this, I'm sure others that are watching will watch this later. Thank you for watching the recording later on. I'm going to just give you a quick update on what the staff has been up to over the past month. We're quite busy. A lot of the decisions that have been made earlier in the year we're working on those, so that's keeping us quite busy. Starting off with accounting, Terry and his accounting team has successfully completed the audit, and so that's in a draft form, and the board and the finance committee will get a chance to look that over. Another important thing to take notes, especially if you're a club, Terry's going to be sending out the capital expenditure request forms, and we do this every year. So tomorrow, June 1st, those are going to go out. You'll see some messages about this capital request form, and then you will also see the day that they're due. I think like the 29th of July is when they're due. So watch for that. Make sure you get your request forms in this year, and therefore 2024. So, you put your request in now, and we consider them and put them into the budget for 2024. We're also working on the May financials. Again, kind of have our hands tied with our software, but we are making some progress there. So Terry and team are working hard on that. For the administration office, I guess the big news today is you notice Diane's not sitting up here next to me. Diane, this is her last day, and we now have Charlie. Charlie is taking Diane's place, so we're glad to have her here. She brings a lot of skills with her, and they've been training for about a month, but take it easy on her because there is a lot to learn, and as you know, at 25 years of experience, there's no way to, transfer all of that in like a disc or anything. So, so we'll be working on that as we go along. Another exciting thing for the staff, a couple times a year we have a staff softball game, and the staff from HOA2 competes against other HOAs, HOA 1 and the Highlands and Sun City So this coming Saturday at 8:30 a.m., the HOA2 staff will be playing softball just here at the softball field, and we'll be that'll be the first game. And if we win that game, and then at 12:30 we'll move on to the championship game. So if you want to come out 8:30 on Saturday morning and cheer us on. And all of you really want to know this also. The second half assessment statements are going to be going out tomorrow also. So if you get them electronically, you'll see them tomorrow. If you've requested a paper copy, we'll put them in the mail and you'll get to you probably in about a week. So, and then note that those assessments are due by July 15th. So, fitness center. A lot of work been going on with the Rincon room to get fitness activities back up there. You'll hear a briefing later on in this meeting on that, so I don't have too much information on that right now. There is a new trainer and a new instructor and personal trainer hired here at the fitness center. So if you use the personal training, check in with Jeanette at the fitness center. She can give you more details. All right, food and beverage. They've rolled out a new dinner and bar menu at the Preserve. And one of the things I saw on that new menu is a smaller plate. So interesting, instead of the full-size plate, you can order a little bit smaller portions up there. We'll see. I think that has gone well, at least the first week or so that I've seen it out. All right, so the Mountain View Bar and Grill will have a night of live music and a special barbecue menu that night, and that's going to be on June 29th. So keep your eyes open, Monday message and the standard way we get information out about that. So that's June 29th. It looks like happy hour at the Mountain View Bar and Grill is now between 3 and 6 p.m. So if you go to that happy hour, it's now 3 to 6 p.m. Mountain View Bar and Grill. Okay, so when the Mountain View golf course closed and all the golfing went up to the Preserve, our lifestyle banquets staff has offered a Monday, Tuesday buffet, but that buffet was not well attended. Not enough folks used it to pay for it, so that is discontinued. So right now there's nothing on Monday and Tuesday, but food and beverage folks are looking at some other options. So that may come back in a while. The next show here at the Desert View is on June 8th, and that's Riding the Storm Out REO Speedwagon Tribute Band. So if you like REO Speedwagon, June 8th. All right, I see Dove, our facility director, likes REO Speedwagon. Thanks, Dove. All righty. Why don't you come, Dove? You can. Staff can come to these things too. Yeah, it's nice. The next festival is going to be, of course, the 4th of July at the Mountain View Bar and Grill, and tickets go on sale on June 5th. All right, on to golf. Mountain View renovation project is rolling on. They've got a lot of work going on between holes 15 and 17, a lot of the, I think, greens and a lot of the irrigation. There's a lot of deep irrigation ditches dug out there, so definitely stay off that course. We ask that you consider the whole course a construction zone. The Preserve is busy, of course, with the Mountain View closed. The Preserve golf course is busy, and Paul says that the transition to the Bermuda grass is going very well. So he's happy with that transition. Golf operations, they had a pizza and putter, and that went very successful, and apparently 9 people walked away with an Odyssey putter. So I guess they got that by participating. Big news here, the new golf carts or golf cars are going to be delivered tomorrow. There's 76 of them being delivered tomorrow, and all the old golf carts are going to be traded in and hauled off. So there'll be a lot of activity at the golf courses by the golf cars tomorrow morning. The preserve is reporting that they're averaging about 150 rounds per day of golf. And one other note I think you've seen is that starting tomorrow, you'll have to check in at the pro shop before you start golfing. Let's see here. Now, you know we've been struggling with the totally integrated software package that we had last month. We got approval to move to a new software package, and that's moving along quite well. We've had our introduction meeting with the company. We've got we had some meetings yesterday with them, and next week we have the North Star Company representative coming out to stay here for 3 days to go over all the different departments and our needs. So that's moving along. Again, that's going to be about 3.5 months. We should be able to transition to a better software package. And with all the things that's going on with the golf course and moving the mesquite, our marketing team has just been really engaged in trying to get that information out, trying to get information out about the project on the Mountain View Golf Course. So hats off to the marketing team. We've really been making them run hard. So thanks to them. One of the other things they're running, you've probably seen, is this nomination for Champion of Gratitude. Okay, behind me you see my little badge that says, you know, we appreciate you. We show, you know, we're pushing, the staff appreciates you as residents, but I hope this also goes throughout the community and you as residents show that appreciation to each other. And so there's nominations that we're looking for someone that has exhibited this gratitude and this making the community better. So nominations are out there. I guess it's open, and we will be looking at those next week. For the records now available, I think you've probably seen the message on that. And there'll be more from marketing in this meeting. So that wraps up my comments, but I'm going to pass it on over to Ray, the Assistant General Manager. I think I got that right this time, Ray. So he's got some fun stuff for you to look at on facilities.
Yeah. Walter, let me ask, I was asked by someone sitting next to me, and that would be Chuck, if there will be food at the softball game. Do you know?
So, yes. So there will be food. The food and beverage folks have coordinated with the companies that we purchase our food from, and I believe they're going to be offering, you know, the simple like hot dogs and hamburgers. But that's going to be more, not like 8:30 in the morning. That'll be around the lunchtime.
Okay. So is that open to all?
Yeah, if you're a resident and you come out to watch us, you can get yourself
a free hot dog, free hamburger, and you get to watch superior athletes play softball. Uh-oh.
So last year it was. I mean, so I'm going off of my knowledge from last year.
So you and your wife can split a hot dog, free hot dog. No, that's good. I just want to make sure that because it is a fun event, it really is good for the staff, and the other HOAs come in and they enjoy it as well. So it's all good fun. So Charlie, welcome. I want to say thank you for coming on board, and we're looking forward to working with you, certainly. And Diane, you have my permission to go to bed at 10 tonight and not have to get up early in the morning. So, but thank you for all you've done. We've had a lot of fun celebrating your last month. Okay, Ray, it's all yours.
Apparently, once you join facilities, you can never leave. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you being here. I'm just going to walk us through some current projects, mostly with photographs, and a few words about that. The first one is that we had a piping repair needed at the Mountain View pool, and of course, it was 4 feet under the deck, so our maintenance team was in over their head. with this repair, as you can see in the photograph. There is an indication of a second leak that we recently detected. Hopefully this doesn't become an ongoing problem, but recognize that the facilities team is on top of it and working on these things. Rincon room repurpose, you've heard a lot about that recently. It is our newest gym and fitness center. We've upgraded the floor to a combination of laminate and rubber tile. This space will be occupied and utilized by our fitness team, the spin group, table tennis, and there'll be some dancing in there. I'd like to say that this project was one that kind of developed fairly quickly. Our maintenance team completed this renovation entirely by our internal staff. So saved a lot of money and a lot of time. So I commend the facilities maintenance team on this project. Great job. Desert View roof repair is well underway now. 4 or 5 weeks probably have been going on. The parapet restructure has been completed. Basically, it's making them waterproof. Concrete is not waterproof, so we've actually sloped the top of the parapet so that the water will run off there. We've also used a material called Drive It, which is waterproof. The underlayment has been replaced fully with waterproof self-adhesive material. And lastly, we will be replacing the TPO, which is otherwise known as rubber roofing. That is scheduled a few more weeks out due to availability of contractors. But we will have a brand new roof on this facility here in the next few weeks, and hopefully no more issues with water and monsoon coming. You've heard that our golf carts are arriving tomorrow, just in time. We have our Mountain View canopy completed, erected. There's a few details left there with lighting, and but otherwise ready to accept our new golf carts. There is, as there was with Mountain View, issues with permitting from the county on our preserve canopy, but rest assured, as soon as we have that permit, that work will begin. All the steel and the structure has been fabricated and is ready to go as soon as we have that permit. Lastly, I wanted to mention, although I don't have a slide or any written information on it, the contract for the lower section of Mountain View repave has been granted. The contract has been granted, and that work will begin in early July. So we'll have traffic control there, but be aware there's going to be a lot of activity. Basically, it goes from Mesquite all the way down to Lago del Oro intersection, complete repaving, some concrete work, etc. And then lastly, you've heard a lot about level 5 landscape maintenance. I'm happy to say that that work has begun. I'm going to share a little short video with you of the before, during, and after that operation. So go ahead, Joey. So you can see here there's a lot of undergrowth. Our intention is to leave native trees, native plants, but get rid of the grasses that are non-native, and expose views of our golf course. Big machine, like a knife through butter. And some music. And this is what it's going to look like when completed. Note, the trees are there, the cactus are there, the cacti are there, and the weeds are mostly gone. We will not be spraying, so, monsoon, this is, it's going to grow, and so the plan is for, on a 1-year cycle, eventually we'll get there. It'll be a little longer the first time through, but on a 1-year cycle, we will be conducting level 5 landscape maintenance. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Does the board have any questions for Ray or comments? If you want to see this level 5 work, I believe on the number 1 hole of Mountain View, that area has been completed. Number 2, 1 and 2, yeah, 1 and 2, and they're starting work on hole number 5 this week. It's going well, and I was very impressed. You're not supposed to be on the golf course. I understand it's construction, but it is taking place and work is being done on level 5. Thank you, Ray. Okay, next up, finance update by our treasurer, Campbell Cheney.
Thanks, Dan. Troy, there we go. For the first slide, can you get to the next slide? There we go. As you're perusing some financials we have, some summary financials and income statement, I do want to have my personal thanks to the accounting and finance team, Terry, David, Mary, and Chris, for putting this together. Year-to-date through April, as you know, we've had no financials for basically the whole year. So they've worked very hard to put this together. It is a summary income statement. There are a couple of things that I think you need to look at, even though the bottom line net income from operations shows $190,000 profit. It's not quite as good as it seems, and I'll get to each of the major amenities and kind of explain why. If you look at the golf revenue for the first 4 months, you can see it's down about $192,000 from budget. We had a lot of frost delays. I think more than most you had seasons, so that's one thing. The other thing with expenses seems like it's $350,000 lower than it should have been compared to the budget. There's also kind of an explanation for that. The timing of equipment arriving has not happened yet, so that expenses hasn't been expensed yet. Timing of fertilizer deliveries, timing of invoices, things like that. So Paul Halleck tells me that even though it looks great now, we're down $352,000 in expenses. We'll be catching up as the year unfolds. Food and beverage, you can see the revenue missed by $156,000. Really, most of that, if not all of it, was based on activity at the Mesquite, the Mountain View Bar and Grill and Banquets. Preserve doing great. Preserve is pretty much on budget. And then the theater, fitness, theater, and lifestyle, the main issue here with revenues being down $68,000, $50,000 of that is in the theater. So we're either not getting acts in or people aren't seeing that from what we could tell. But we do have financials, so I think that's very important. Now, next slide. As I've been showing you all year, kind of looking at our cash balances to say, do we have cash in the bank? You can see, compared to December 31, 2022 and May 25th, when I looked at our bank accounts, you can see not much. We're down about $1 million in the operating fund. That's not unusual. We're going to replenish that with our semi-annual dues coming up in the next month and 6 weeks. You can see the reserve fund, not much change there, even though we've been spending money. We'll get to in the next couple of slides. And the capital improvement fund, we haven't used that much. You can see it hasn't really gone down that much. So we do have cash. We've got, almost $11 million in cash sitting in the bank right now. And then next slide. This is kind of work in progress. This is what we look in the first and second quarter of capital spending. The first slide kind of shows the buildings, and maintenance of the buildings, not much in the way of equipment. You can see a lot of this is still ongoing compared to budget. And I'll point to what Ray mentioned earlier about the Desert View roofs. The money you see in the actual is just the money that's been spent so far. We're still in the process of finishing up the project and having the final expenses come in, but we thought I would at least show you where the money is going currently. The next slide kind of shows our equipment. You can see a lot of the equipment has already been purchased and delivered. Those are mostly final numbers, except for maybe at the bottom, there's a few things on the property site, not really equipment related, but still we're starting to get those projects underway. And then the last slide is just more of the same kind of capital expenditures from operating funds. That's ongoing. Capital expenditures from the capital improvement funds, they said not much going on there, but we will be spending money on that with the new infrastructure for the golf carts. We put $76,000 down. As Ray said, one of the golf cart structures is complete. The other one is still underway, so we haven't finished paying for that, and then the rest are kind of just carryovers. So kind of a brief operations, but I think the main point taking away is we have financials. And that's it.
Thank you, Campbell. This is really a big deal. There's been an incredible amount of work put into this first part of the year and trying to get us to financials that can reflect what's going on within the operation. And thank you very much to Terry and David Castro, certainly others that helped put all this together and get us into this position of being able to see what the operation's actually doing. So thank you again for getting us to this point. I'm a silly guy. I looked at it and I thought I was happy, and then I talked to Campbell, and he tells me I'm really not that happy. So it's a kind of an accounting thing, I think. I don't know. But it looked good to me, so thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, and I'm very excited about this presentation, the food and beverage update. Alan and Michelle are here to give us an update. You know Alan as our Director of Food and Beverage, and Michelle is our Director of Marketing. They've been working hard at this, and more to come even after their presentation, but I'll turn it over to you guys.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Alan, and this is Michelle.
Hi, nice to meet everyone.
So food and beverage has been busy. Marketing's been busy. We've done quite a few things here, so we're just going to give you a status update. Today's agenda is going to be who we are, what's happened, where we're going, and who we are now. Next slide. Just again, who we are, and then what's happened. We've done research and development. We've done a resident survey about the Mesquite closure and if it was going to be even an opportunity for us, and then the board voted on it. So now where we're at now, the Mesquite did in fact close. We've relocated breakfast and lunch to Mountain View Bar and Grill. On Sundays we do have a limited menu, and that happened May 1st. We are open Monday through Sunday from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then Sunday we are open for a buffet, which has been very well received, from 9 to 1. So I really hope that you guys like the new digs at Mountain View Bar and Grill. I tried to make it a lot better. I tried to really make it a lot more visually pleasing for everyone. We've done testing, training, and planning, and then we're going to go into our next steps.
Sure. As far as next steps, it was necessary to do a competitive analysis just to assess where we were with the Mesquite, areas that we can stand to improve, areas that definitely the residents wanted to maintain. So we went ahead and looked also at competing factors of nearby restaurants when we're thinking of what do we want to do in offering breakfast and lunch for the residents. And then so what we established obviously is a target market. We have, our residents here, but we're also wanting to keep in mind to bring in revenue to create a great experience. We have outside markets that we're focused on as well. And within those, we wanted to figure out what opportunities we had. And so some of the opportunities that we thought were lacking that we could definitely assess and, take advantage of are a full 360 rebrand, a loyalty program, which someone actually just mentioned. Is curious of when that's going to start, so we'll be rolling that out. A larger dining space, new features. What we'd like it to be is a complete new dining experience and retail merchandise. And then if you want to speak on where we are going after we assessed all of that.
So we are getting ready for this fall to offer a new dining experience, a brand new experience that you've never seen before. So we've really kind of started from the bottom to the top, and are really working to take everyone's complaints from what Mesquite was to offer a brand new offering with a new training and New training, new dining experience. We really saw that we needed to offer a better marketing experience with merchandise that we haven't done before. We wanted to offer a distinct Mountain View Bar and Grill separation for breakfast and lunch that we didn't have before, with vibrant colors and exotic flavors, and really kind of get our brand out there. So a new branding.
And that is something that we're working closely with food and beverage, that you can actually have a sense and feel that it is going to be a new restaurant, that you're not simply switching over from Mountain View Bar and Grill, breakfast and lunch. What we're going to do is create a full new restaurant experience for everyone. With that comes new logos, new social media, new color schemes, branding, aesthetics, and a complete different marketing strategy, as well as promotions to really get the residents to enjoy something completely new and different here.
Oh, you can do it on that.
Yeah, and then just an overview of kind of the roadmap of where we've been working with food and beverage. We're past phase 1 and 2, and a lot of that was getting into the design elements, trying to understand, what food, what menu, what things residents would like that we haven't done or that we have done. We're really in phase 3 of testing out some new products and features that you might have seen at Mesquite, as well as the breakfast and lunch at the Mountain View Clubhouse. And then also with that, we're working on campaigns, building that out. And then what we're looking to do in phase 4 would be a launch of this completely new restaurant come fall.
So be on the lookout for the leaks that you'll be getting. I'm sure you saw something's brewing on this last Monday message. We're really working hard to release information and get everyone excited about this new brand. So it'll be a brand new menu from top to bottom for breakfast and lunch. It'll have a complete new feel for breakfast and lunch, with new china, new merchandise, a new. I don't want to release everything, but I just want to get you excited. We're working on a loyalty program, so punch cards. So you feel like you're earning something. We haven't developed that completely, but that'll be on its way. We really wanted to market with fitness about a juice program and the healthier option that's trending right now. A new coffee blend that'll be a SaddleBrooke 2 coffee exclusive coffee that is ours, that's branded with our name, and that's a special blend for us. Rotating agua frescas. We really want to set ourselves apart from our neighboring competitors, and we really wanted to offer something that no one else offers. Craft cocktails. We realized that Mesquite really just didn't have the capability to service everyone. Being at Mountain View Bar and Grill, we're able to house a lot more beer and wine and liquor, so we're able to do a lot more craft cocktails over there. There's a lot more bar seating. We're trying to focus on the positives of this area. Staff training. We realize that we've gone through a lot of people and a lot of employees. Being in food and beverage, it's kind of the nature of the business. It's the nature of the beast of getting 16-year-old high schoolers and then they're going to college, and it's been something that we've had to fight for forever. I've been here for a year and a half now, and it's been the cycle of people coming in and out. And then we are happy to announce this for fall of this year. So we've really come a long way. We really kind of worked from the bottom to the top, and it's taken a lot of work just to even get where we are now. So we're happy to announce that there'll be a new branded restaurant for us by fall of this year. So we thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any board have any questions for Michelle or Alan? I think this is exciting. This is like a preview of what's coming from my perspective. And it really is a refreshing view of what both of Alan and Michelle and their teams have put together to refresh our restaurant experience. So thank you for doing that. We're looking forward to August 1. As you know, we do not have a July board meeting, so we won't have an update from you at the July board meeting, so we'll see in emails continued progress, I'm sure. So thank you. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it, especially the craft cocktails. Sounds good to me. Next on the agenda is Pro Shop and Snack Bar renovation from Denise. I want to thank Denise. She's been involved in this process for some time now. Weekly meetings with staff, with the golf group, and really putting a lot of time from the board into this project. So before she even gets started, I want to thank her for all of that time and looking forward to hearing her comments in her presentation.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and start with the first slide. This is really just giving you a depiction of where the financials have been, and what we are showing you is HOA1 Pro Shop and HOA2 Pro Shop. We're showing you just the last 2 fiscal years, and this is just to give you a relationship of sales and margin data. If you look at HOA2, that's the second section, you'll see that we did $156,000 in 21, which I just want to remind everybody, we're coming off of COVID time, so that's probably got to have an asterisk next to it. So as we go forward, we're going to have a few wonky years in data, because if we look at this year's, when we're reviewing this, we're going to have 6 months or 5.5 months of closure. So we're going to be going through a few years now. It's not going to be apples to apples, but I just want to give you a reference of what we're looking at for comparisons. In 2022, we did $182,000. If you look at HOA1, you'll see that they did $417,000. Obviously, we can see that there's opportunity, and that's one of the main reasons why we want to review this and talk with you today. When I'm reviewing all this data, I thought it was time that we probably had some focus groups. So I spoke with roughly 90 to 110 people that were either golfers or were very passionate about our pro shops. And I came up with some really good reference data to go over with Alan for food and bev for the snack shop, as well as with Matt Hudson and Mike Harpy on what we're really looking for in our pro shops as we go forward. So I've done that. I've spent time with each of them, so they both have a good handle of what we want to expect in our new golf shop when we open this fall. So next slide, we're going to talk about renovation cost earn back analysis. I do want to mention that the financial pages that you're going to be seeing, the next 2 to 3 pages, are really, I got assistance from Campbell and the finance committee. So if you have questions about some of these numbers when we're done here, we certainly can review that with you. One of the assumptions in the pro shop is to increase those sales at 50% over the next 3 years, which is really 14.5% a year. If you go back and you look at that prior slide, I'm pretty sure that we can hit that out of the park. If you look at the cost of goods sold, it's 76%, 73% for hard and soft, and gross margin is 24% for hard and 27% for soft. We took those percentages, and that's when we go to the next slide, and hold up, Joey, just for a sec. So we're not asking for big increases here. So when we look forward to the next slides, you'll see that these are very, very doable numbers. For the snack bar, we're using a $10 average per customer base off of the 40,000 rounds that were played in 22, and that's saying that we have no increase in usage at all. Labor costs at 60% of expenses, and the cost of goods the goods sold for food and bev is 38 and 34. So a break-even sales for 2024 would be $105,000 or $288 a day at 26% usage. Next slide, Joey. Okay, so here we're sitting. We have a $33,000 request, and $8,000 of that is from a design fee to revamp the golf shop and create a snack shop. The $25,000 is the cost of the actual renovation. So with incremental 2024 merchandise profit of $6,400 with the 14.5% increase year over year, and the $99.48 with the 30% penetration for the snack bar, gross profit would be $16,353. So at 30%, that's a little over 2 years payback. If we increase those numbers at all to 35%, it's 1.1, and at 40%, it's 0.8. So it's not even a year payback. But note that that is an average of a $10 usage for a person to use in the snack bar. So we're using that as an assumption. So next slide. So the byproduct of some of these other opportunities is that we now have a Rincon room that Jeanette and her team can use for revenue, which we're not even including this. She also can use the Mariposa room for additional things that she already has lots of plans for that we are not including in this, as well as the Paloma room. We do want to give you a stat from the restaurant. The Mesquite in May of 2022 did $1,417. The Mountain View for breakfast and lunch did $1,575, which is $158 a day increase. So even if you just look at that times an average of 25 days in a month, and we're not even saying a full month, that's $3,950. Over a year's time, that's $47,000. So that's a great opportunity for us. That's actually a byproduct of getting back in the Rincon room for fitness. So what's next? So we needed to vet design companies for this project, and the two that kind of floated to the top were one that was in our Partners with Invited suggested, which is Two Hemispheres. The other is a local team that the staff is very well acquainted with, and they will be using 180 Designs, which they're both very, very, very good companies. We did decide to go with Two Hemispheres. The main reason for that was they are golf-centric. They do have snack shop experience in their past, and they gave us a little more of a holistic approach, which will help us support in visual merchandising and fixturing that 180 Design would not be able to offer us. So next slide, Joe. Two Hemispheres. So who are they? They are a company that is based out of Beaverton, Oregon. They've been around for over 2 decades. They are ran by a women-based company, and their mission is to really touch every point of our shop. And that's really what we really what drew us to this company, as well as their core values of integrity, passion, innovation, teamwork, leadership, and diversity. Next slide, Joe. And honestly, the thing that really drove it home for us was their expertise in business analysis, their store design, retail fixturing, fabrication, and visual merchandising, which will also give us support for our staff to really improve the view of what you're seeing in the pro shops. You can see some of the brands that they've worked with, and these are just some of the retail brands. And we're going to show you some pictures here in a minute of some of the shops that they've actually done, so then you can see what it might look like in our future. So if you go to the next slide. So these are just some of the photos before and afters that they have provided for us so we could get a depiction of what they're showing. And some of the things that they kind of brought to light is shop destinations. And I think anybody that was in our pro shop at Mountain View in the last 3 or 4 years can attest that we didn't have much of shop destination anywhere. So there's so much opportunity. If you want to go to the next slide, Joe. There's another layout, and that's really more of a depiction, a visual for them of what we would get for a rendering as we go forward. Next slide. Here's another one of a rendering, and that shows a couple shop destinations that we might see in our future. Next one. And then this one actually is the Portland Golf Shop, which they just did for them. And this has a grab-and-go snack bar in it, which they have a lot of experience in cabinetry, working around the cases that Alan's going to need in the snack shop. So overall, we're super excited about this opportunity, and we look to have them here next week for a site visit in the space, and then they can go further on what we're looking for a planogram and a layout for the future of our golf shops. Okay, next slide. I'd like to make a motion that I move that $33,000 of unallocated reserve funds be approved for this use in this year regarding the new Mesquite Snack Shop and Pro Shop location.
Okay, thank you, Denise. Is there a second to this motion?
I second it.
Matt Cambick has seconded the motion. So we have a motion on the floor for $33,000 of unallocated reserve funds to be approved for the use this year regarding the new Mesquite Snack Bar and Pro Shop relocation. And thank you for all the background work and the information associated to what's going to happen with that new renovation. Having the motion on the table, are there any questions from the board for Denise or others?
I have one question. Denise, is there opportunities to sell other types of apparel than golf, such as fitness, other sports type of activewear?
There certainly is, and that's something that we've talked about as we go forward. Dan suggested that let's get this golf shop kicked off and get that in a really, really great place, and then in our future, obviously we have other amenities in our fabulous community here, and we'd love to have things like pickleball attire, any other kind of tennis attire, and any other kind of categories, whether it's fitness wear. We're a very active community here, and there would be great opportunities for that.
Denise, in the analysis you have for HOA 1 versus HOA 2, you have a gross margin of 27.5% for soft goods. With these changes that you're proposing, is there a possibility we could get closer to the HOA 1 of 36 or 36.4%
Yep.
of gross margin for soft goods?
So recently, our last year shows us at 27, and HOA 1 shows us at 36. Obviously, there's opportunity, but we also want to be realistic on our goal is to drive revenue. And if we could throw a few more promotions in there to drive additional sales, I would like to have a realistic gross margin that we could see additional sales and really, really pump up that revenue. And there's no reason that we can't get there, but we used it constant, so then we aren't ballooning our numbers. So it's a very, very realistic number of what we can hit here. But obviously, there's opportunity.
But you don't want to put that in a goal or a budget for next year of 30% or 32%?
No, I'd like to see what new merchandise does. We might blow that completely out of the water. I think it will be exciting to see what we can do there.
Thank you. I think the goals that you have here personally are well understated in terms of our capability. Just a quick reflection on sales per home. If you look at the HOA 1 sales per home of their pro shop, it's about $200 a house. So every house in HOA 1's buying about $200 out of that pro shop. Your goal with a 50% improvement is 90.
Yeah.
So we're not even half of what HOA 1, and there's no reason we shouldn't be similar. There really is no reason for that. But the accounting group would like to have a more realistic view, so we do, and that's probably what will get put in the budget, but I'm very optimistic about that. Any other board questions?
I just had one question, I think, from what I remember seeing the information. So the $33,000 actually is, I think, money that's simply being moved from 2024 to 2023. I think there's $57,000 or thereabouts in the 2024 plan for work to be done in that building or that room anyway. And so all we're really doing is moving forward money that was
Mark,
planned on.
that's not correct.
Oh, okay.
That's not correct. That $57,000 is for exterior use at the Mesquite
Oh, it is?
property.
Okay, so I misread.
This is an interior move.
Okay, all right. So I misread that. Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Denise. There is a motion on the table, and given that, are there any questions from the audience relative to this motion? And I'd like to Yeah, come on down. I'd like to make sure we stay on the motion with regard to the questions, but happy to hear whatever you have to think or say.
Good morning. I'm Dick Schrader, Unit 49, Lot 9. I have two questions. First of all, we are still observing the cloud over us related to the vendor selection of our IT work. What have we learned from that that's been applied to selecting design vendors for this project?
I'm sorry, can you chat again?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Can you repeat it just one more time? I'm sorry. I want to give you an accurate information.
We are still feeling the after effects of the vendor selection related to IT. We've learned a lot about what went wrong with that, I hope, and what have we learned that's helped us with vendor selection for this project.
Dick, are you talking about this motion? This motion?
I am, because there's a motion on the floor related to selecting design firms, correct? Spending money.
Yes.
In part
for the pro
is going to
shop.
be used for the pro shop.
Yes.
All I'm asking is, what is the selection process? What have we learned from one challenge related to IT that went wrong that we can apply to this vendor selection?
Sure. I'm not sure that you can necessarily correlate those two, but here's what I will tell you, that we spent a great deal of time vetting them, and they have 20 years of experience with this type of thing. And we're not asking them to make a Honda out of a Mercedes. We're asking them to do what they do best, and all of their leaders of their company are coming from a sports background, and they show many, many, many years of success rates with different HOA communities like ourselves. And that's the reason why I feel like that's a pretty good testament to what their success has been.
Well, my only reason for asking is that month after month after month, we've all lived with the after effects of a selection in our IT area that's been more painful for the staff than anybody. So that's where that question's coming from.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Second question.
Dick, let me just, to the question, first question though, let me also add that Invited, our golf management group that we're working with, also suggested two hemispheres to be used because they've used them at a variety of their clubs.
All right.
So I think they had good success. They felt they were a good vendor for us, along with the other ones, I think, Denise, that you looked at. So that process did take place. There was a vetting process.
And my second question is, will the data that you've shown us this morning be used in the future as a comparison of projected versus actual? So a year from now, we can sit back and look at what you are projecting today, because everything you've shown is very optimistic, and I'm in no position to say you're wrong. Sure. But I think that the exact data you've used here ought to be used in the future for comparison.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I am a data-driven person, and that's all I have based my career on is projections and actuals. And so as we go forward, every year we'll be looking at this 14.5%, and did we achieve it? And that's the reason why I do want to have a realistic margin expectation, because we need to hit that goal.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dick.
And you need to come spend your money, Dick.
Any other questions from the audience? One thing I'll mention, and I didn't do it before and meant to, I did mention Invited was involved in the vetting process a bit. They've been involved in this process since day one in terms of what we're doing and this renovation work. But you also have to remember, as part of our contract with Invited, we use their vendor contracts. So when we buy shirts from FootJoy or shoes from Skechers or name a name, we're getting the use of their contracts. So we're getting an advantage in our margins by that. So this idea of growing our margins, I think it's a slam dunk, but of course, the accountants will give me more reality to that. But there are a lot of headwinds, a lot of good support for these numbers, I believe, in terms of being able to hit them. So anyway, enough said. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I'm ready to call for a vote. The motion on the table, let me just read, Denise, reread that if you don't mind. There it is.
I move that $33,000 of unallocated reserve funds be approved for this use this year regarding the new Mesquite Snack Shop and Pro Shop relocation.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Denise, very much for all this work. I'm looking forward to my first shirt in the new Pro Shop, so I'm excited. Okay, next on the agenda is me, and I want to talk to you a little bit about bylaws. So I'm going to stand up to do this. Yeah, maybe. Okay, on the agenda is a bylaw revision of our bylaws. And there's a couple of topics. I don't know if you've been able to see them online or not yet, but let me go through them with you. There are two main changes to our bylaws for consideration. First is the addition of how the board can handle board member vacancies that occur and when no homeowner decides to run for that vacancy or that vacant term. That's the first issue I'll talk to you in just a second about. The second is to define what the term homeowner in good standing means in current legal language and updated qualifications as agreed upon by the board. This is important to qualify new board members and election committee members as per our CC&Rs and our bylaws. These are all rooted down into the rules and regulations that we live by every day for HOA 2. So the first one I'll go with you should be pretty quick. The bylaw was changed, this bylaw was changed in 2021 from the last board. And it had to do with basically the board, instead of appointing a vacant position when someone leaves and appointing someone to do that, the board felt it was important that homeowners have a voice in that process. And we passed a rule, changed the bylaws to allow for a vote for the replacement of any vacant position that comes forward with someone leaving the board. Let me just read this to you. Vacancies on the board of directors caused by any reason shall be filled by a vote of the majority of the remaining directors, even though less than a quorum, or by the remaining director. Okay? If there is only one. If the remaining term of the vacant board seat is less than 6 months, if the remaining term of the vacant seat is greater than 6 months, then there shall be an election at large by the members of the association in good standing within 45 days of the vacancy occurring. So essentially, if you have someone leaving the board, there's only 6 months left in their term, you just wait and go to the next election. Nothing special happens. You have a board of 6 at that point in time. If a term of vacancy is longer than 6 months, and we had that this year when the board member, Don Grimm, resigned, we had a term left on his position of about 1.5 years or a little bit longer than that actually. So that required us to have a vote by all of our residents. That took place. It actually didn't take place because we only had one person apply, but we did have someone apply, and that process, Denise is with us here today. The only thing we're asking that you consider commenting on is that we add, if no member in good standing submits their resume for candidacy, the board may vote to appoint a member in good standing to serve until the next election. So again, if you're within 9 months of the next election, the board may vote to appoint someone until the next election. That's the stopgap. If the term of that vacancy is like a year and a half, the next election would elect someone to fill out that term. So we're not really trying to appoint anyone for a long period of time. We're just trying to get to the next election. It was unclear in this document that that's what the action would be if no one applied for the board. If no one sent a resume in as a candidate for the board, it was unclear in our bylaws what that action would be. The reason it's important when you understand this is you need to take some kind of action early, because when it happens and it's not clear, then the board's dealing with something quickly that it's hard to mess around with. So we need to add this now that we understand it. That's one provision we're asking you to comment on, and I'll get to the motion at the end for that, but that's one provision with regard to board vacancy. The other one is all about homeowner in good standing, and we're all homeowners in good standing. Every one of us, we pay our dues on time, we don't ever do anything bad, we don't have any violations, on and on and on, but there are some that do. And so homeowner in good standing is very important when you elect a board, because you want a board that is of homeowners that are in good standing in their community. So let me read to you, and this is very quick, but I'll read to you what is in our current CC&Rs. And it really is the only thing that reflects on what a homeowner in good standing is within our current CC&Rs. And this, I'll tell you at the end. The 2 directors elected by the members of the association, other than the declarant in this case is Robeson, shall serve 2-year terms and must be members or spouses of members. Members or spouses of members of the association. Any vacancies created in these 2 directorships shall be filled in accordance with the articles of the bylaws. And this is all until the transition date, the number of directors shall not exceed 5. That's in our current CC&Rs. After the transition date, the election of the board of directors shall be by the members in accordance with the current articles and bylaws. Since our transition, the articles have been changed to allow for up to between 3 and 9 directors. We currently have 7 board directors, and we also have a 3-year term, and that's in our bylaws. Those were changed after transition. So what I read to you is in our current CC&Rs, and it really says the only qualification of a homeowner in good standing is to be a member or the spouse of a member. And a member is someone who owns property in HOA 2. So you are a member if you own property here. Our bylaws then also have some wording in this regard. Number of the qualification of the business property and the affairs of the corporation shall be managed, controlled, and conducted by the board of directors. The board of directors shall consist of a number of members indicated in the articles. This is 7 at this point in time, who are members in good standing, who are physically present in the community no less than 9 months of the year, and shall be served terms of up to 3 years. So that's, again, homeowner in good standing, but that's the only qualification is a 9-month residency. Okay. So the changes that we are suggesting as a board, and we will ask you to comment on, is changes in homeowner in good standing. So I'm going to read you what those changes look like. Number and qualification. The board of directors shall consist of the number of members indicated in the articles, which is 7 today, who are members in good standing, are members or spouses of members, as described in our CC&Rs, have owned property in HOA 2 for at least 12 months prior to submitting resume for board candidacy, physically present in the community for at least 9 months of the year, cannot be 30 days in default of any payments for dues, fines, or other charges due the corporation, and the candidate cannot have any active code of conduct violations at time of resume submittal, and shall serve a term of 3 years. That is a more definitive description of what a homeowner in good standing has to have to become or run for the board. I will also tell you that, interestingly, and I won't go through all of this, our election committee has in the CC&Rs the same standard to be a homeowner in good standing. We currently have 3 members of an election committee. They watch over our elections in an unbiased fashion. That's what their responsibility is. They have no connection to the board. The board has no influence over them. The only influence is that they need to be homeowners in good standing to be a member of the election committee. So anyway, that's what's going on. That's the changes that I and the board are suggesting. So the motion that I'm going to present to the board this morning is to approve these changes to our bylaws for a 21-day homeowner comment period, after which the board shall vote, or a board vote will be held to approve or modify these changes based on homeowner comment. So what I've described, a lot of conversation, a lot of legalese. This will be sent, if the board approves, this will be sent to you by an email blast. Everybody will get it, whether you're a full-time or seasonal resident, you'll be able to get this email. You'll be able to make comments, just like we asked for comments in past decisions. You'll be able to make comments associated to this as well. I think it's a step in the right direction. It clarifies some information that really is important in terms of your expectation of who sits on this board and represents you. So anyway, that's the motion I have made. I will sit down. Do I hear a second? Second. Who said that? Mark said it. Cool. Thank you. Okay. I have a motion. I have a second. Do I have any comments from the board?
Just one clarification. You mentioned our members or spouse of members. I'm assuming you mean the members and spouse must have all these other criteria involved.
The proposed, yes, would be. Yeah, it's members, spouse of members, and all the other stuff.
But the spouses have to be residents and also be here for a certain period of time and all that too.
Whoever's running has to qualify to this. The member and spouse of member is important because, honestly, everybody's got a variety of things on their deed to their property, right? They got living trusts, they've got all kinds of stuff going on. So members is sometimes only a singular person, but the spouse of a member being qualified is very important in that regard. So does that make sense? Any other question from the board? Okay, hearing none, are there any comments or questions from the audience? Wow. I thought somebody would say something. Maybe I've just confused you so much, so I apologize if I did. Okay, hearing no comments from the audience, let me reread this motion, and then we'll vote on it. The motion is to approve these suggested changes to our bylaws for a 21-day homeowner comment period, after which the board vote will be held to approve or modify those changes. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you. It's unanimous. That email will probably go out next week at some point in time, so we'll try to get this done in June. If there are lots of comments and lots of things to digest, this may be a holdover until our August board meeting. We're skipping July, so this may be a holdover until then. There's no real huge rush on this, but I think it's something that will be good to get behind us. Okay. Let me see here. Any other board comments? No. Got a couple of announcements. For the record, June is out now. It's a beautiful cover and a beautiful inside. Actually, I had a chance to get through it pretty quickly, but it really is well done. The next board meeting is Wednesday, June 28th. As I mentioned, this will be our annual corporate meeting. Each year, we have to hold one annual corporate meeting within the first 6 months of the year, and we like to push it to the very last of that. Didn't do it on purpose, but actually the financial issue kind of pushed us to that point. There will be one agenda item on that meeting, and it will be the audit review. So that audit is in its final stages, and Campbell will likely review that audit in our annual corporate meeting. After that meeting is over, and it will be a pretty short meeting, we'll move into a regular board meeting for the month of June. Again, that is June 28th. There will be no meeting in July. We have a lot of board members on vacation, and we will be back then the end of August for the next meeting after that. Okay, before I adjourn, any comments from the board? Everybody happy? You look happy. Okay, with that, I'll adjourn this meeting and ask for homeowner comments. You can limit those comments, or we'll ask you to limit them if you could to 2 minutes. But we're looking forward to anything you have to say about any topic. So I'll let you come down if you want to ask a question. Oh yeah, you got to say your name and lot number and unit number.
Unit and lot. And speak into the mic so we can hear.
Laura Lee Horwittle, Unit 33. I have a question about the choice of the products that will be in the new Pro Shop. I feel like we've had less than quality merchandise priced at a high amount. And I've been in both HOA1 and our Pro Shops. The first question is, do you have a team that will choose the products? And number two, will this go to both Pro Shops?
Those are really, really good questions. I apologize, I should have brought that up during the presentation. Number one, through the focus groups, I did get a list of names of, especially in the ladies section, there's lots of opportunity in that area. So there is a group of 3 women that are going to be assisting Mike and Matt in selections of the women's attire. And then also I'm going to participate in that. So hopefully you'll see an improvement in assortment and outfit building and the overall aesthetics of the women's area specifically. Secondly, it's absolutely the goal to put them in both shops. Not the same product, but the same eye. And that will be in both shops going forward. I apologize, I should have said that.
That's okay, thank you.
Sure.
I appreciate the upgrade in what we're going to carry. It's wonderful.
Well, let's hope that you say that in 6 months.
Okay. My second question goes to Alan. Chicken tortilla soup has been around for 20 years, and it's in both, every day in both restaurants. Is there a chance we can ditch it after 20 years?
I have no problem ditching the chicken tortilla soup. I just don't want the other half of the community to come after me with a pitchfork.
So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Next up.
I'm Steve Lindquist, Unit 45, Lot 98. One question, we were talking about this new dining experience. I didn't hear anybody mention anything about what is this new dining experience going to cost us? Have we got a budget for it? Is it? I don't know what is entailed in it, I guess, you know? Is there some budget associated with this change?
There was some small cost for...
Alan, can you talk into the mic so everyone can hear, please? Thank you.
There was a small cost for a juicer, a blender, a merchandising rack, but everything else has been in the budget as far as China and stuff like that, so it's not going to be substantial.
The next really is more of a comment than a question. I spoke with Adam in the past, not too long ago, 2 or 3 months ago, I guess. I wasn't happy about the fact that he eliminated hash browns from breakfast and replaced them with, they're called breakfast potatoes, I guess, but the one I had the day that I went the last time, it was horrible. And I'm trying to understand why every restaurant in town serves hash browns for the most part with breakfast, but ours don't anymore. He said he would reconsider it, but to date, I haven't seen any evidence of that. But more importantly, I guess as a comment I have, we used to eat a lot at our restaurants, both the Preserve and Mountain View. I think we've been there one time in the last 2 years. I won't be having breakfast there, which I usually had regularly anymore, till they have hash browns, and if they don't, then I'll continue to go out of the community, which is where we've primarily been going, which is a real shame because we'd like to support our community here and the restaurants. The only comment I would make, and probably the biggest reasons we're not here eating in this community, is there's been a horrible lack of consistency. Consistency in the hours of operation, consistency in the menu, consistency in the service, and consistency of quality of food. Those 4 things. And if they don't address those 4 things, there isn't going to be a lot of hope here. So my suggestion is they might want to look at those and see if we can make them better, I guess.
All right, thanks, Steve. Next up.
Caputo, Unit 45, 125. I have a concern, and I think everybody else should. If I remember correctly, Invited, when they gave their first presentation, mentioned that they like to acquire golf courses. We're putting a lot of money into these golf courses, initially upgrading, and my question and concern to you all is, what stops them from either bidding or, I don't know, hostile takeover? I don't know. I'm just really concerned about losing the golf courses.
I don't quite understand the question. Hostile takeover of something. Of what?
Okay. I'm assuming you were at the original Invited, correct? When they gave their presentation to the board, to us, HOA 1, the big ballroom, were you there?
Okay, I'm with you.
They had, one of the things he mentioned was, and I don't know if it was a direct question, but they like to take over golf courses. That is their ultimate goal. That's what he said.
Invited owns over 200 golf courses. They manage 25. We're one of the ones that they manage.
Correct.
They do buy golf courses. There's no question about it. There has been no indication nor interest on their part to buy our golf courses. The agreement with them is to manage our golf courses. So, yeah, there's no takeover capability now. That who knows? Maybe they would like to buy our golf courses someday. Can't predict that. But right now, it's purely a management relationship. That's all there is.
Well, I hope that's all it is.
It's all it is.
Okay.
I guarantee it.
Thank you.
And the board and the community would have to approve them purchasing or acquiring either golf course. So they can't do it and just take it over. We'd have to approve it.
Right. Thank you. Next up.
Don Crawford, Unit 45, Lot 100. Does the board have an individual responsible for the supervision and maintenance of our community roads?
Walter.
What's the board's position in regards to the condition of our roads and how we're going to address the ongoing costs?
So the roads, we have a yearly program where we actually go and analyze the roads internally. But in addition to that, every 3 years, we have a engineer company come and actually analyze the roads. So we do have professional analysis of the roads. They also do similar to our reserve study. They project out 30 years. And so we have a plan that lays out each unit, each road, when it should be addressed in terms of all the different things that you need to do, crack seal, seal coat, mill and pave, all of that's in that study, but it's a living document. Each year we internally go around and look at it and make sure that we're focusing on the roads that need to be addressed.
East Peregrine Place and South Lacateo Canyon Drive are so rough. Riding in a golf cart, you can't run them with an open cup of coffee. You're going to wear it. And so they're in horrible shape, and they've been that way for a while. And it doesn't seem like that's changing anytime soon. So the ongoing plan then is for you're addressing this thing annually or every 3 years and setting up a program?
Yes, those are in the program, and unfortunately the program disagrees with you. Those roads are actually some of the better roads and more of the newer roads in our community. If you look at roads in Unit 14, Unit 15, Unit 17, those roads are quite older than the roads there on Ocotillo or Peregrine. So, yeah, so those roads are not in the near future any type of major reconstruction.
What? Peregrine has got cones in the middle of it. It's got a swale where it's settled. There's a lot of it. It's ridiculous. I drive on razor roads in the mountain that are smoother than some of these.
And you're correct on Peregrine. That's a different situation other than the standard road. And we're working on that. We've got some engineering analysis on that, and we're working with ropes on that road.
Who's responsible for dealing with the Comcast issue, what they're doing, what they've done, haven't done, what needs to be repaired, and understanding that a lot of the impacts from the Comcast work aren't going to be felt in any time that Comcast is here. We're going to have over the next several years, maybe it's going to take a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 10, before all of a sudden these crossings that they put in are going to be inverse speed bumps. That would be through here. You're going to have settlement that's going to do this. It's going to crack on the top. Water's going to penetrate. You're going to ruin the subgrade. You're going to have a bigger repair.
Yeah, and that's me also. I'm watching that. I'm working with Comcast. They're a subcontractor, and all of these sinking roads and items like that I've identified to them. Majority of them are fixed. So if there's other items that you see currently, then let me know.
What's the program ongoing though for 5 years out, 10 years out when these impacts are then felt?
Well, then we go back to Comcast and ask them to.
Your
correct them.
contract with them does that? Allows that?
I'd have to check to see how long that goes, but yeah, they're on the hook to correct these things.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the comments.
Hi, my name is John Sohikian, Unit 45, Lot 77. So first, I just wanted to make a point that Roger, Ray, myself, on the Rules Committee, we met with John and Beth at the Rules Committee of HOA 1. And one thing I would just point out is something to consider is, and we'll talk about it in our Rules Committee, is that Beth and John mentioned that they have talked to numerous people who have bought homes in HOA 1, primarily, and not in HOA 2, primarily because there's a difference in rules between dog walking on the golf course. What they allow is they allow dogs on their golf course before and after tee time, and they're on a leash, and there's supposed to be a certain distance. So it might be something to consider as we look at trying to keep our two communities as similar as possible and not create a disadvantage for our community, because I don't know how many people have dogs, but clearly it looks more like 2/3 of residents have dogs, and that would be a strong thing to consider. And we'll look at it within the Rules Committee. Just some general comments. As a homeowner, I would ask that the restaurants have more healthy vegetarian options, more selection of appetizers at happy hours than the fried string beans. There are 92 new homes that are going to home sites in the preserve. Robeson also has the right to continue to build in our community till 2040 in the CCR. I just would like the board to consider what that impact is going to have on the preserve clubhouse, pool, and the gym up there, because when you add a minimum of 180 new people and the capability of Robeson to continue to add properties up there, that should be under consideration in the long-term planning that you're doing. And the last thing I would say, the properties up in the preserve are upwards of an acre. They take longer to landscape. I think your 90-day rule for landscaping needs to be reconsidered for those larger properties up there, especially given the backlog that most of the landscapers that the people in the community use. So just something to consider. 90 days is unreasonable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good comments. Certainly comments that we've heard, so I appreciate those comments.
I'm back. Steve Lindquist, Unit 45, Lot 98. Comments on the roads. I was listening to what Don Crawford was telling you there on the roads, and I just jotted a note here. Down at the end of Overlook, the very south end, there was one of those crossings where they've drilled under the street, had to be torn up, and they've patched it. When you hit that thing, it's the opposite of the inverse speed bump. It is a speed bump. I mean, when you hit that in a golf cart, that thing likes to flip the golf cart over. I mean, it's bulging way up, but it's a very sharp one. So you might want to take a look at that one. I can't tell you where all the other ones are, but I can tell you I run over them every day, all day long, and there's a ton of them all throughout the community that are either already sinking or up too high, one of the two. They're not flush. I guess a comment, you made a comment about some service or somebody that tells us that our roads are great. And I would have to take big issue with that. I drive through our community. To me, our roads, most of them, not all, but most of them, they look like one big giant tar strip because there's been cracks and they've been tarred every which direction. And the other thing I wanted to ask, this is a question, not a statement. You talked about there's dealing with these problems with Comcast down the road. It didn't sound like you really were too sure about to what extent and what kind of time frame you have to do that within. Be interesting to know what that really is. But I also think that there's some issues with not only Comcast, but are there not still some outstanding issues with Robeson and road damages that maybe Robeson has a responsibility for? And If so, what's going on with those, and is there a time frame on? The most recent one I can think of is Peregrine, where we've got a terrible road sinking problem that runs for, I don't know, at least 2 lots wide, maybe 200 feet, 250 feet down Peregrine. That road's got a roll and a twist in it going down that for quite some distance. You already came in here a few months ago and dug it up and put a temporary patch on it. The temporary patch is almost already sunk back, not quite as deep, but it's getting there to where it was in the first place. So I don't know if that's a Robeson issue or our issue. I'll leave you to address that or comment on it, but that's just one good example. I think there's others around the community as well I've seen,
Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
I will tell you, and unfortunately it is sometimes a surprise to homeowners, but that road study is available for you to read online on the HOA2 website. So it's there. It's how we plan our road maintenance money, and every year we're spending roughly $1 million to repair roads every year. Now, obviously we don't have unlimited funds, so making everything perfect all at once, but we inherited 25-year-old roads, except at the preserve where the roads are a bit newer than that. So there's a lot of work that's going into roads. Please read that road study. It's on the website. It tells you everything about the road that goes in front of your house. Is it in good shape? Is it in bad shape? So it's available for you to review. So anyway, thanks for the comments.
Comment I would make is that situation in Peregrine, I believe if you've done that, I don't have any idea. I'm just pulling a wild guess. But you got to be a few $100,000 in making Peregrine right.
I understand, Steve.
That's just
and
one.
As Walter has mentioned, he's got an engineering study on that, so he's working that problem.
Okay.
He's working it. Thanks. Next.
Hello, Els Bowen, Unit 15, Lot 92. Walter, you mentioned that you're working with Comcast to fix holes. Do you have a name of that contact? When is that contact here? Because it's been at least a year, and I'm seeing holes on golf course. I walk daily. I couldn't imagine being a bicycle. So I'd like to know the name, and let me contact Comcast.
So
Get them out here.
When you say holes, what do you?
Yeah, I'm talking holes about 2 inches deep, perfectly round.
Yes. Yeah. So right now, Wyco, which is the subcontractor, is contracting to repair those out to Sunland Asphalt.
Sunland Asphalt?
Yeah, Sunland Asphalt is not the people to bother. It would be Wyco.
Spell it, please.
WYCO.
Oh, okay. And do they have a specific name and number?
Well, I'd really prefer you not contact them, because I'm in contact with them, and getting residents involved is really going to confuse the whole matter. I mean, they've got those all listed. They're contracting that out to Sunland Asphalt, so that is it's in their, it is addressed, and they're getting ready to go around and fix all of those holes.
On HOA, in HOA2?
Yes.
On golf course?
Yes.
Okay. And we're talking, what, month, 2?
Well, I've got to follow up with them to see exactly when Sunland fits that into their schedule.
All right.
But
Do you want to contact us, or are you going to put it on the website saying, by the way, these are the streets that are going to be addressed?
I'm not going to put it on the website, but I can contact you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I'm not trouble. My comments are easy compared to everybody else's. First of all, is there
name and lot?
Oh God, I forgot. Sandy Lindquist, Unit 45, Lot 98. You know, as we're aging, there's some kind of things I'd love to have in our community, and it'll probably never happen, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is there any chance of having like a little ice cream parlor somewhere around the snack bar, just to go for an ice cream cone? That's one thing. And
Alan, yes.
I'm tired of going out of the community for ice cream. The second thing is quality of food here. My husband and I spend a fortune going out to restaurants. We're kind of spoiled. We like really good food. A couple years ago, I asked whoever was in charge, how about like nachos? I got nachos, and they were like all tortilla chips. And right in the middle was a few little tomatoes. It was kind of embarrassing. I should have taken a picture. But I sent it back, didn't pay for it, and they were really nice about it. But it'd be nice to have a happy hour that had nachos and guacamole and just stuff like that. 4 to 6. A lot of us don't eat big meals anymore. We're getting older, and we can't handle the big meals anymore. So a nice happy hour would be great. And last but not least, I was driving in my golf cart coming from the preserve, and I was coming across Lemon Rock. My cart tilted like this. I was so scared that my cart was going to fall. They fixed the big dip in Lemon Rock, and it's happening again. So please check into that, because I drive that way all the time, and I want to be safe.
So that's also part of the study. I included that with the Peregrine study.
We need to have something around there, because honestly, I got scared to death I was going to fall in the golf cart. Thank you for all that you guys do. You do a great job.
Thanks, Sandy. Are there any other comments? All right. We'll see you at the end of June. Thank you.